John, it's funny. I have 3 kids, as you know, and they all played. And I love my kids, to the end of the earth, as you. I know I was not a good father, coach to Jordan. I was an asshole. I was hard on him. I expected more from him. And as time went on, I got better with Sydney. Sydney also wouldn't put up with me. True story. She struck out on purpose because I once screamed from the stands that she did something. And long story short, she's pitching first, second, nobody out. She's 10 years old. Okay, understand she's 10. Ball's hit back to her. She just throws to first. She gets the out. And I just screamed from the stands, Sid, there's a whole game going on around you. Know the situation. So she gets up next inning. She's a 4 batter. She takes strike 1 down the middle, strike 2 down the middle, strike 3 down the middle, walks back to the dugout, looks at me in the stands, eyes me up, and just goes back in the dugout. I turn to my wife. I go, babe, I got to go. She goes, where you going? I go, my daughter just shoved that bat up my ass. She goes, you telling me your 10-year-old daughter just struck out on purpose? I go, I'm not telling you. I know for a fact that's my daughter.
Good for her.
Phenomenal for her, and that's still who she is. Now she's 27, and she's my best buddy.
There you go.
I got better, and I got softer, and I understood that my children were not me. You made it to the big leagues. Did your daughter ever play softball?
Just until just little league stuff.
Okay.
12 years old, quit after that.
Do you think there was an incredible pressure on John Jr. to grow up with your name and have people looking at him a little bit different?
Yeah, 100% I do. I'm not saying any Koufax, but again, we grew up in same town, went to the same high school, that kind of stuff. So that all the time. Coach Siri said that all the time and would remind me.
Same name.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Would remind me of that all the time. And I'm like, oh, Coach, I don't think so. He goes, I am telling you that is the case. And I feel it was very unfair to him. I think, my son did a lot of good things at that school. He's a first-team All-State baseball player at East High School. I don't think there were any other first. There was definitely some All-State players, but I don't know if it was first-team All-State player ever. He tied the home run record his senior year, which, Johnny was about, $170, $165 maybe, tied the home run record. Pitched to a 1-something ERA his senior year. Just had an off-the-charts year. And I don't think he gets enough credit for some of that, to be honest with you, for whatever reason. And, well, for whatever reason, what I say is because it was like, well, he should have. Does that play Major League Baseball? I was a pitcher.
Right.
I wasn't, I wasn't Ozzie Guillen playing shortstop and batting 380 and whatever they. So you got to give the credit, to him for working hard at it.
But did you ever understand that what he might be going through? Did you ever sit down with him and go, Junior, listen, man, what are you feeling? Are you feeling anything? Or did you just assume?
I was probably an asshole father.
You probably,
he'll tell you, I wasn't hard. Again, I expected a lot of him. But again, being with Coach Siri, that I was blessed by having him around and have him in Johnny's life as well. That, just teaching him to play the game the right way. You tell stories of Little League. I was telling him one time to throw a certain pitch, and he decides to throw whatever, and the kid hits a hit, and whatever he comes in. And I remember smacking the hat off his head. Like, I'm embarrassed now, but it's like, because he was like ignoring me or whatever. And then one time he comes in and flips his, like, same game, he flips his back. I said, yeah, so you're done for the day. Put your stuff. And next thing we're sitting there watching the next batter, and the coach goes, he goes, is that Johnny? I go, what? He goes, is that Johnny up there? He took his bat, he left the dugout with his back out. He's walking over the bridge. He's walking home. And my wife comes in screaming. I go, I didn't tell him to leave. I just said you're done for the day. So it's kind of, we laugh about it now. It's a funny story. But, yeah, I just wanted him to do well and play the game the right way. And
we as parents, we want our kids effort, attitude, energy. That was my problem with Jordan too, right? I wanted him to do things right. I've never shared this. I sought help. And I spoke to somebody for a while. who helped me to understand that Jordan wasn't Eric. And Jordan may turn into Eric, but on his time.
Right.
When he's ready. And he did. And he's better than me. I mean, that's what we want as parents. We want our kids to be better. It didn't take long for my 3 kids to be better than me. But doing that and seeking some help to understand, because remember, I lost my dad when I was 11. I had great coaches, but I didn't have that male role model. And then I understood how tough it was for me to make sure my kids understood that I was their coach for this, but I was their dad for this.
Right.
And I couldn't allow one relationship to interfere with the other. And with Jordan, I took a step back. I really took a step back for like a year and a half. I kind of just wanted him to develop on his time and so on, which he did, you know, and like I said, went on to play, you know, at a really good level. The reason I asked all of this, I'm setting you up. Your son has now joined my baseball family without you. Your son is one of the most caring, passionate, organized coaches that I have in my entire program. I cannot teach love and passion. There are kids that come here, yep, they coach, they take their money, they take their paycheck, and they leave. John would do this for nothing. He just would. It's in his DNA. Do you know that?
Yeah, I do. And because I see when he comes home. Like I said, Johnny, can you get these trophies out of the house? Like I said, we really don't, you know, whatever. I said, Eric should probably have them in his business. I said, we don't need the trophies. But Dad, we don't need the trophies in the house. We got enough stuff going on here. So, yeah, I do know he loves it. I've seen videos of him jumping up and down like a lunatic when they won a championship last year or whatever. I know they just won the Memorial Day tournament. He was fired up about it. So I do know he loves it. And I'm hoping that it's because a lot of stuff the way I taught him kind of rubbed off. I mean, that's the way I really feel. So not to pat myself on the back. Going back to when I was coaching him, when I say bleep and dad, you know, moments. But I think if you ask him for the most part, he wanted to hit, let's go hit. He wanted to go ground ball, let's go ground balls. When he was really young, you know, you had to like, oh, Derek G in the hole, backhand, back to first, and like I had to play the whole every time I threw a ground ball, as he was driving me crazy. But that showed that he really loved the game, that he enjoyed it. So, yes, I do know that he loves, you know, going to these games. I'm like, one of the games is like a 10 o'clock game. I'm like, I hear the garage going, but 6:30. I'm like, where the hell's he going?
Whoa. That was what I was going to tell you next. So him and TC.
Yeah.
When I talk about caring, we use Westchester Community College. Now, Westchester Community College technically is closed on the weekends, so there's nobody there to work the fields. I go.
Yeah.
At 6:30 in the morning. Last year I had a broken hip, so I'm showing up in a broken hip with a broken hip and work boots and you know, like Gunga Din, man. I'm doing whatever I can do to try and get this field ready so the kids can play. And I get there for 6:30. And John and TC were there already.
Yeah.
Security let them in to start working on the field so that they could play at noon. It was a noon game. Okay. And they were there at 6:30 to work the field so the sun would dry and they'd be able – where other guys are just home sleeping going, whatever. Whatever. This is what I'm talking about as far as – were you an asshole? Yeah, you were an asshole. You slapped his head. You sent the kid home. The kid's walking home. Yeah. He's probably running away. Me too. But then our kids turned out okay. And what I see weekly in your son, like, and I know I tell you all the time, I do tell you all the time, he's outstanding at what he does. My younger son, Brett, who's now in the mental health field professionally, so he doesn't get to do this, but when he does, man, does he love teaching it and helping the next generation. So even though we screwed up At times.
Yeah, absolutely. At times. I will defend myself at times. And never with other kids. I mean, you're always harder on your own kids.
Oh.
You always talk to your kids in a much worse way than you do other kids, for sure. And that's
one of my best friends, Bob Irachi, when I had this conflict, I'll call it, with Jordan, I was going to quit. I truly threatened to quit. He was 12. And Bob pulled me aside and he said, man, that's the most selfish thing I've ever heard in my life. And I go, what are you talking about? I need space. He goes, perfect. I'll coach Jordan. You coach the other 12 guys. You can't leave this dugout. And it really got me thinking. And that's when I started to try to be more cognizant. So like I said, Jordan dealt with it more. Sid not so much. Although I would say to Sid, like we'd be at a tournament in Maryland. I remember this forever. We get in the car and I'll go, oh, Sydney, I love you so much, man. I love watching you play. You were f***ing awful today. What are you going to do about it? And then we'd laugh and we'd have 4 hours in the car driving home. I never did that with Brett. I felt like I was just better with Brett. Brett would hit 2 or 3 home runs a game. It got so bad at Valhalla, like B-level baseball. He started the season batting fourth. They had to start him leadoff because they wouldn't pitch to him.
Uh-huh.
So whether he hit 4 home runs, 3 home runs, 2 home runs, struck out 4 times, I wouldn't ask him a damn thing about baseball. That was a conscious decision. If we were sitting down having dinner together that night and he said, hey, Dad, did you see anything in my swing? Then we would talk about it. If not, it was just, hey, how's your math test?
That's great advice as a parent because, again, especially because we know the game a little more, I would definitely, when the game's over, win, lose, or draw, I'd start saying different things. And then when he was younger, he listened. He didn't want to sometimes, but as he got older, he said, Dad, I need a minute. Like, let's get home. Let me get showered. Let me, whatever the case is, because he was – those would have done the bad days. If he knows – and for the most part, he knew what he did wrong, if he did something wrong, when he threw the wrong base or swung at a bad pitch, whatever the case is. So, but as you got older, it's a good relationship. And so, as I'm telling parents now, let your kids breathe a little bit. Let the game, get out of their system for a second and then bring it back up.
What I tell parents all the time, John, let your coaches coach.
Yeah.
Let your coaches coach. Remind your son or daughter how much you love them,
mm-hmm.
how much you love spending time together,
yep.
how much you love the drives to and from tournaments, hotel stays, whatever you do together. Because I got to tell you, this stuff flies by, man. Not everybody's making it to the big leagues. My daughter, and I'm proud of all my kids, my daughter is a pediatric oncology nurse. She's going back to become an NP, which she will be in another year and a half, getting married, the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
We talk about it from time to time, and at first I got sad. And I said, Sid, if we could do this all over, would you do it again? Do you miss it? She goes, Dad, I don't miss it at all. I don't miss the softball. I miss my time with you.
That's beautiful.
I miss my time with the girls in the hotels, in the swimming pool. I don't miss playing 3 games on a Saturday and 3 games on a Sunday and being exhausted and falling asleep with drool coming out of my mouth on the way home and driving for 3-4 hours.
Right.
But the time spent. And with that, we need to know every kid's not going to make their varsity team. Every kid's not going to play in college, and every kid is definitely not going to be a pro baseball player. They're going to be professional at something.
Right.
And learning about themselves through a game of failure is why I think I've loved this game for so long. We learn so much. Life is easy. Baseball's easy when things are going well.
Right, when it's going well. I was going to say, that's not easy.
Oh, no. When it's going well.
Right.
When it's not going well, and I want to crawl under a hole, or I just want to pack up my shit and leave, that's when I find out more about who I am, what I'm capable of, how am I going to overcome this. Because
Coach Asiri used to say, it doesn't build character, it reveals character.
It reveals character. Because down the road as a parent, pressure is starting out as a young kid. I got to earn a living. I'm paying rent or a mortgage. One of my kids is sick, and I need formula. Which one do I do first? Do I have enough money to do it? Like, this is real life stuff, right? We learn so much about ourselves on a ball field. And I don't care what sport, on a ball field. when I think I'm going to give up and I don't, and I come back and I get a big hit, or I hit a big shot, big jump shot. I think that's why I've always been attracted to this game, John. And you know, and again, you talk about Coach Ciceri. Coach Ciceri being everybody's second father. These are things he talked about all the time, no?
Right, absolutely. And that's where my support system, you know, my mom, my dad, my uncle, who was my dad's brother, they were at everything I ever did. I played in chess tournaments when I was a kid. You know, you're off in some classroom, but they're sitting in the cafeteria waiting for me to come back with.
I can't see that. I can't see that. Not with your ADD.
Very bright. So whether you know, thumbs up or thumbs down, they were in the building. They couldn't sit in the classroom with me while I was going on, but they were there for that. Coach is serious support. That's why I think one of the reasons, without a doubt, I know it, is when my career was over, I got offered to go coach with San Diego. I could have done, you know, Jim Cott, Jenny, come on up to the booth, I'll teach you the ropes. You know, do I have regrets of doing that? I don't have regrets. I mean, it would have been cool to do that stuff, but I just felt like I wanted to be home. I wanted to be around my wife. I wanted to be around my kids and be in their lives, as opposed to, you know, when my son hit a walk-off, you know, Little League Grand Slam home run to take us to the next level, he jumped into my arms. I remember the day before we were on the field, and they were talking about, not Learitz, the manager for the Yankees, hit a home run, Girardi. Girardi's son hit a home run.
Dante.
And
yep.
Girardi's in Atlanta, and his son's rounding the bases, jumping into nobody's arms, his buddy's arms, you know what I mean? Now, again, I understand he's making millions of dollars and all that kind of stuff, but to me, I wanted to be there for my family. I wanted to be there for my kids, and so that's why I, you know, kind of found a career where I could live in the state, live here in New York, and do that. And I have no regrets because, again, I spent so much time with my kids. I coached my daughter, even though she was doing it for the social aspect of it. You know, I remember Jim Bell was one of my Little League coaches. He goes, Johnny, you got to get her one of those elbow things. I said, Jim, she will never touch that baseball like softball again after, you know, next week. And so that kind of stuff, but just to make it fun for them. And again, had those little parties after the games and before and all that kind of stuff. So parents, you got to make it fun for your kids. Don't you be the reason why they fall out of love with the sport, and let them play as many sports as possible.
And let the coaches coach.
I quit baseball in 9th grade. I came back to it, and, you know, because of Coach Ciceri, I came back to it. You know, because I had some other coaches, and that's something that also, and I tell parents all the time, don't let a coach determine your kid's, you know, love of the game or whatever the case is, because, you know, he'll only be around hopefully for a year or maybe two, then you move on to another coach, whatever. But don't change what your destiny was supposed to be because you may have a bad coach or somebody's, you know, not playing you or whatever the case. If he loves it or she loves it, just keep on playing.
That's a good point, but that's a sensitive point for me too. If your kid is wearing a uniform and they're not getting PT, and you're paying what everybody else is paying to be there,
yep.
And then you change uniforms the next season, kid's still not getting PT. And then you find another program 2 hours away, they're going to take your money, and he's getting a third uniform and a fourth uniform, and now you're driving six states away, but 10 minutes from your house, you started with the first uniform that was the right uniform. Instead of talking about your coach, how about asking your coach what my kid's deficits are?
Yeah, exactly.
Why isn't he or she playing? What does he or she need to do? Because in 2024, it's a lot easier to change uniforms, man. That turns my stomach. I'm going to say most people like me, John. Most people like me. Some don't. Most don't because I tell the truth. I will never go to sleep looking in the mirror thinking I stole some money from somebody.
Right.
They can go to other programs that do that. If you're good, you're going to get an opportunity. And if you're not, I'm going to tell you what your kid needs to work on. Then it's your choice to talk shit about me or appreciate that I've been doing this for 25 years and I'm just trying to help you help your kid. That's the part of what we do today that irks me every day because parents know better. Parents have never picked up a ball in any sport.
Right.
They know what's right because they sit on a little league board. I can't do it.
I tell parents all the time. I tell the kids all the time. And I got it from Coach Siri. Coach, and how he did it, like I would be like, how is he doing this right now? Your son likes chess? He should probably play chess. He should play some more chess. And I'm not saying a 9-year-old, because everybody develops. We talked about it earlier, too. I wasn't ready. Like, well, we asked Willie about playing at Major League level at 22. I wasn't ready at 22. I was ready at 24. They brought me along just right, and I was ready to go. For mentally wise, physically wise, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that gets.
But by 14 on a big field,
yeah, you kind of have a clue.
If you got no lateral movement and your feet are in cement and you're dropping every ball that's thrown to you,
right.
Chess may be a good option.
And your zipper's open all the time. Like you got to figure it out. No, I agreed. And so I tell people all the time, like I said, I don't want to steal your money, and I say it in front of kids too. Some parents, well, he doesn't. I go, well, he should know. I said, you work hard for a living? I said, I work hard for a living, so I'm not stealing your money. And, when I was catching my lessons, 5 years ago when I stopped 50 years old, I was like, I am not squatting down for a kid who doesn't want to be here. I'm working with people that want to be here, they want to get better, and are going to practice afterwards. I said, you could come to me once a week for the rest of your life. You're going to get a little better. You're going to get a heck of a lot better if you're doing some of these drills and some of these things I'm asking you to do in between. I tell all these parents, send me some video. You know how many videos I get a week? One maybe. This man, I was like, hey, I'm just here to help you. I'm telling you, you're not bothering me. I wouldn't offer it up to you if I didn't want to look at him, because the last thing we need to do is him going home and practicing the wrong way.
Wrong way. So it's hard to break once they do it, right?
Once you're with me, I'm all in. I'm here to help you. I do FaceTime calls sometimes. I said, call me for a game. If you think he's stressing out, call me for a game. I'll lighten him up and tell him what he needs to work on, because that's what I'm here for. I want to build some confidence in these kids.
But changing the color uniform isn't going to change the kid.
That's not going to change. No, not at all. Absolutely not.
Look in the mirror, understanding what I have to do, buying in, having a work ethic, and loving what I am doing.
Right.
Loving your children, telling them that you love them, tell them you love watching them play.
Right.
Whether they struck out 4 times,
right.
made a couple errors, or they threw a no-hitter. You're not going to change how much you love your kid.
Right.
Johnny, thanks again for hanging out with me, man. This was good stuff.
My pleasure. A lot of fun.
Thank you, brother.